So how to create a Eureka server, right? So this Eureka server, we will use it for a discovery purpose, service discovery. And this Eureka server is backed by the Netflix cloud. We got that some free features, right? Are you getting my point? So for that, you need to add one dependency, how to create a Eureka server. So you will come up here and you will just add it here, something we called as a Eureka server. And you will add the dependency. Actually, you don't need a web, ideally speaking. If you are not adding any other web features, then you don't need it. So Eureka server, you are able to see, I guess, right? You can edit, generate it. Based on that, you can select if it is a 2.7.18, you can select for 8 and packaging as a jar, generate it. Okay? What you will do, then you will go to again here and you will file, import it, right? As a existing Maven project. Clear? By default port on that Eureka server is running. So what you will say, you need to add one annotation here. So what is the annotation? Enable Eureka server here. So like this, you will get it here. Enable Eureka server, right? So enable Eureka server. That is only one thing, simple thing you need to do it to create a Eureka server. Then you need to add that additional thing is for server.port to make it as a 8761. Why 8761? Because that your any other default port, any other service want to register, it will look for localhost 8761 port. How this communication happens? It is internally using that HTTP client or REST template. Any service is connecting to internally to a Eureka server through a REST template only. So the URL will be a localhost 8761. Some other URL, then you need to add one property here. Right? Eureka server URL, something that property you need to add it. If you are Eureka server on some other machine. So now this Eureka server we have, I will start this Eureka server. Run as a Java application. So you can see into a what we can call as share localhost. The port is enter. Got it? I guess still it is starting here. You will see. Right? Started Eureka server. So you see here, there is a no application. So this server is also trying to register on itself. So we have added a one more property here, I guess, right? Register with the Eureka server is a false. So this is an additional property you see. Eureka client register with the Eureka is a false here. Okay. Now we will create a one more service here. So any application which you wanted to register with the Eureka, it is considering as a Eureka client. So you need to have one simple dependency as a Eureka client. Okay. So you will add that here. Eureka. Eureka discovery client. Right? And then all other dependency, here you have a database or whatever it is. All this will be remain same. So that is I'm not adding here. So let's say client validation service. Clear? That all other setting, the way we have done it earlier, you can use it. Generate. Okay? It will generate it. And then you need to import that again. So coming up here, you will import. right? So you will import as a existing Maven project. Next, select that project. After that, extract. So you will get that client validation service here. So in the client validation service, it's a service, something we are trying to connect it or we need to call it. Clear? So earlier we have seen that if you are calling from service A to service B, we can directly call through a REST template or maybe through fiegn client. Correct? But if there is some changes in URL and all, so there are some problem. Another thing is that Eureka server is keep checking a health of the applications. So it is maintaining the healthy instances only. If the instance is not running, it will remove it. It also support for client side load balancing. Got it? So there are some advantages. That's why we are using. And service discovery, we have two things. Client side service discovery, server side service discovery. So rather than to use that entire IP and URL, we are using the name of the service. Correct? So that your your application is not dependent on URL. You don't need to change every time. Correct? So this application basically we wanted. So we created two applications, fund transfer payment app and another is for client validation. So idea is we will validate the customer. Correct? Before transferring a fund. So in this, I just one controller we have created. And in this one controller, we are just saying that validate customer. So this validate customer is a request mapping path simple. And then we can say if the customer is basically a null like this. So this is a simple logic. So you can return false, otherwise return true. Correct? So as of now, for this, you need to add one more annotation here. It is a enable Eureka client. Right? So enable Eureka client, it will automatically register, right, this service to a Eureka server. So for that, you can also specify. So I'm running on 8088 port and giving the name as a customer validation service to get that name of this application to this service. So once I will run this Java application, करेक्ट, तो एक एप्लीकेशन नेम हमको यूरेका सर्वर में मिल जाएगा अभी जब हमने यहां पर चेक किया था. करेक्ट. सो देयर वाज नो सच नेम एक्चुअली. यहाँ एप्लीकेशन नेम में कुछ भी नेम नहीं दिखाई दे रहा है. तो नंबर ऑफ एप्लीकेशन. सो जनरली whenever people are using the Eureka server, all these microservices has to be registered here. तो सारे microservices यहाँ पर रजिस्टर हो जाएंगे. ठीक है. और यहाँ पर जब उसका हेल्थ एक अप करके आ रहा है, राइट, you can also check the health and other details using the actuators. If I will add the actuator dependencies also here, so related to entire health of the application and everything. Got my point? So we are just started here. So once it is got started, we will see the one application over there. You can also see the log here. You should be able to read that log here. Registered application size is 0 is true. Application version is minus false, right? The response status is 200 okay when it is connecting to a Eureka server. Getting all the instances. You see here, customer validation log, I am reading it. Correct? This discovery client, you see, it is itself is saying the name of the customer validation service 8088 registering the service here. This registration status is 204. Any status from 20 to 204, 20, 201, these are successful. Right? HTTP status okay means 200. Successful response. Got it? So it has been registered here. Now you go to here, and if you will refresh it, you see customer validation service has been registered. Now we create one more application, something called as a fund transfer. Okay. So in this fund transfer, now let's first verify this our particularly this validation service is properly running or not. So what I can say, I will just do one thing here. So this is localhost. Correct. 8088 validate customer name. So you see it is returning a true. Means our service is running validation service. Now we will create a one more application, something we called as a payment service. So before initiating a payment, we will validate the customer. Correct. So what we are doing it here. Here we'll also use that Eureka client, and also we will use the fiegn client. Open fiegn. ठीक है. Declarative REST client. Open fiegn creates a dynamic implementation of an interface. Eureka's client, Spring Web, and here you can say the payment app service. ठीक है. Click on create, generate, and then again generate it. Select that. This Maven. Come back here. Import it. File. Import. Right. Existing Maven project. And then next. So payment app service. Right. And you can import it. Once you will import it here, you will get that particularly a payment app service created here in your workspace. So payment app service, we got it. So payment app service, we are here is also we annotate here. So as of now, we are also enabling we are creating a declarative client, right? So enable fiegn client, correct? And then you can use a enable discovery client also. Huh. You can copy and paste, right? If you have already created this app here, you can add that one dependency here. Eureka service, this is I have copy and pasted if this is already created. Okay. So you can add that one particular annotation here. Two annotations. One is for a, what we can call as enable fiegn client and enable discovery client. Okay. Now we will create one controller. First, we will create one interface, right? So let's say I will create one interface here. This interface is, let's say, cust MPL. ठीक है? Here I will add that one annotation. And I will create exactly the same method, right? Method name, return type has to be same. This is basically for the service which we are calling it customer validation service. So we have in customer validation service. This is the signature of your method. One request parameter. You can copy this one. Exactly. Okay. And come to your customer. Got it? So it is a declaration. This name, you can give it some other name, that is okay. Mapping has to be same. But now we need to specify also which particular service you want to connect it. right? So copy this fiegn client. How I got this name? This name we got it. The name we have given into a that service when we have registered, and also we have seen the same name into our Eureka server as well. This is the application name, correct? Now what I will do? So this is basically internally it is calling to a Eureka server. Now I will create a one controller. New class payment processing controller. Finish. Okay. Now in payment processing controller, what is the annotations I need it here? REST controller. Clear? Now you need to add as a auto add to inject it this interface. Okay. Enter. Cust validation. Simple. Okay. Now what I will do it here. I will add here. So from here, let's say public string, right? Process payment. Okay. And I will pass two parameters. Here also I am taking as a gate mapping. Path is slash payment. Clear? Now here failed. Sorry. Success. Now by default it will success. What we will say? Using this, we will call dot validate customer. Okay. So here we will take that two parameter. Request param string cust name from customer one, right? Ideally, we need to take that entire object. Param cust name Benicust. Okay. Import it. So we are validating this customer initiator. Got my point? Now it is returning as a boolean. Status, right? Then what you can say? If status, then return success, right? And you can say process payment. Means we have done the validation correctly, right? You can write some code for process payment here. Now, so this is the way you can say this is a declarative client. You don't need to, uh, you can say add as a bean for REST control, REST template, and adding as a auto add, right? Then get for an object and all these things. It's a simple way. Now I will start it from. So you can see here, there is a nothing here. And in this application.properties, we are running on the which port? We are running on 8083 port. Run as a Java application. So we have three applications are running. One is for Eureka Server, one is for customer validation service, and another is for payment app service. In payment process controller, we return both. Failed to start. This bean with that name has already been defined. So this bean name. Okay. So I guess the same name we have tried it for customer validation service also, right? So as of now, you can comment it out here because it will not taking as a same name. And even fund transfer also, I guess we have taken as a same name as a cus service. Let me check it. No, only fiegn name we are just getting the problem because of we have created it two simple fiegn clients here, na? That's why. Okay. So I have commented here. Now let's try it one more time. Otherwise, we will delete that class. Payment app service, customer validation. Acha, okay. In your configuration. So because here is also customer validation service. Yes. I will change it to customer validation IMPL. Okay. So we have a two is running as of now. Payment app service, we will start it again. The problem which we are facing it because you cannot have a two same name same fiegn client because we have the fiegn name was same for two different interfaces. Are you getting my point? That's why we were getting an error. Once I commented that fiegn name, right? But we are trying to auto error also. So it was trying to find out this particular bean is not found to inject it. That's why we are second time we are getting an error. So I removed as this complete auto error from that controller. Now this application is also registered here. So you can just see here. So this is basically we have developed till now, right? Fiegn client name, validate, right? And we have written this particularly a controller here, and we have just injected. Sorry, payment processing controller here, right? So if that validate customer, so we have injected like this, and then if it is returning success, success, otherwise it is returning as a failed. Okay. So I will one more time, I will stop it. I guess it is still using the same payment app service. Again, I will run it. Hmm. So this application is being started here. Okay. Now you will go to see this app here. So how many application you will see here? 2. Okay. Now we will try to access, right, transfer. So we will see the controller mapping here. So here we have a payment 8082 payment. What was the first parameter here? Cust name. So cust name was the first parameter, right? Let's say, right? And second parameter is Benny cust name. Okay. Benny cust name is enter. You see success because this customer is not an empty and not a null. If I will delete this, means by default it will be going to a pass as a null. You see failed, right? So internally it is going and calling to a that application. Correct? So this way you can implement it.